doesn't matter who we are. What matters is our plan. Right? So I have a plan. And my plan is very much informed by my brother. So one of the things that I'm doing right now, a very important thing, is that when you make a website, when you make a business, you need a point of sale. You need a way to actually have your customers be able to purchase whatever items they're interested in. And so I'm interested in getting that point of sale system into our website. And we've been working on it, but you can do what's called like it's like a sandbox, and you can make sure that everything's working, and it is. And then you can move to a production state where now you actually, it's not bogus. You could actually accept money. Now, what we wanted to do for this is we wanted to use PayPal as well. Excuse me, because PayPal is obviously, it's like you got your credit cards, and then if you get the option for people to pay PayPal, that'd be very beneficial. So there's a subsidiary of PayPal called, what should we call it? Subsidiary of PayPal called Braintree. This subsidiary called Braintree allows you to take payments from card and as well take payments from PayPal. Very important. But if you're going to set that up, obviously you need to have an account to associate it with that the money goes into. That's a business account. So what I'm looking at here is that while we were building the business the whole time and continue to do so, there's no really need to incorporate. Like, why would I have a business at this point? We're just building a thing, But now I am, and that means that I have to make a decision regarding where are you going to have the business. And I thought like a tiny little bit just about where it would be cool to live if the business could be successful. I was like, it'd be cool to live here, so why not have the business here? That kind of thinking, that's as far as I'd gone with it. But I spoke to my brother and I said, I think the reality is that I'll probably set it up in Canada. We'll register it in Canada because I'm a Canadian citizen. It'll just be easier to do this. But I want to talk to my brother because we're business partners and we have a paper company that we run. We actually, it's been a whole process. Like it started from a sandwich truck, which is like a really cool experience. My brother, always very entrepreneurial. He was like, Dave, you want to do a sandwich truck? I was like, if you want to do a sandwich truck, sure. And then he made a very successful sandwich truck. It became quite legendary on our little island that I'm originally from. And we then sold that business, and since he sold that business, he's now, what he recognized in the course of doing business there is that their paper products are absurd, and they're way overpriced, they're gouging them. And he thought, well, why, if I could source this, my business would just save so much money. But then he thought, why would I even source this single product? Why don't I move this whole business model to the paper products? Because it's so much more streamlined. Your margins are so much better. Running a restaurant as compared to running the supplier it's brutal in comparison. Far better business model. So my brother moved to that, and since he's done that, obviously he has an awareness of setting up these businesses, the kind of nuts and bolts that goes into them, and so on. And he recommended to me. You think I would have had this idea to begin with, but no, it came from him. Chris suggested, he was like, what you should really do, Dave, since this is like not a lot of people are going to have this, but you're starting in the oddest position where you could probably choose what country you would want to incorporate in, and if there's one that's clearly better, well, go with that. But to find out, why don't you hop on GPT and see what it says if it were in your situation? I was like, oh, that is a great idea. So I'll narrow it down pretty quickly. The ones that I looked at that it recommended for a variety of reasons, you got like different things going on, was Estonia, Ireland, and what should we call it? Singapore. Thus, we come full circle, talking about Singapore again. Or was that in the previous video I just did? So considering those, I was like, wow, all right, let's, what is so good about each of these? I narrowed it down pretty quickly where I was like, not Estonia for obvious reasons. That's a little bit of a hot zone to be establishing a business in. Ireland is good. There's a reason that Apple has like some portion of their business there that allows them to, exclude themselves from taxation because of Ireland. But the big thing, so let's list it. Why in the end I was like, okay, Singapore's the best in my opinion. So I looked into it, and it's because you can register in Singapore as I believe it's called, I looked at all the company designations. I was then on YouTube, like finding a guy in Singapore who talks about how you establish a business there. And the best one that I could find is a company called a private limited company. And why is this cool? It's because when you create the company in this way, the company becomes a legal entity. And so it is what becomes, if there's any sort of issues, what is dealt with legally rather than you. So you get this kind of like protection from whatever may occur during the course of the business, that you're like, it can at least be objectively dealt with. That's really good. Another huge thing associated with this is that limited private companies in Singapore are subject to a 17% flat corporate tax. I was like, boy, oh boy, that's 17%? Okay, that's incredibly appealing as well. And then I thought, okay, so I'm seeing it's got this great tax rate. That's excellent. I'm seeing that the corporate entity is one, they have the possibility for a protected liability in your corporate entity, which is excellent. So now the next thing for me to consider was like, is there any way, I thought, okay, so could I get into the country? I could just go and teach there, and then I could be a resident and I could set up and do the business that way. But then I thought, oh, well, maybe they have something equivalent to Thailand, like a startup visa that you could get where you don't even have to do that. You just present with the business plan and you could, get in that way. Now, they do. It's called the Entree Pass or Entra Pass or whatever. They got that. I looked up all the requirements for it. I think I could get through. There's enough, you need to indicate something somewhat exceptional about your business or your history, but I'm like, I have an established successful business already. I feel like that's the biggest one. It's like, do you want to know if we're legit? Look, in Canada, we're doing this. And it's like, let me tell you, it's going well. Turns out that people where we are didn't like being gouged by their greater or larger producer. And now we're picking up clients like hotcakes. So that's cool. But sorry, I'm getting lost. I digress. My point was that okay though, in this immediate moment, what am I gonna do? Like Singapore is incredibly appealing for all these reasons that I've said, but then I was like, wait, I'm gonna have to now I'm thinking about getting into the country. Yes, they have this startup visa, but that would mean applying for it. And then the next thing I thought was, well, is there any reason whatsoever, here's how the path was revealed. Singapore is awesome. It's cool. 17% tax rate. Oh, I didn't mention one last one. This is absolutely massive. There are no taxes on capital gains in Singapore. So if I have any investments that are under that designation, I'm not going to get taxed on them at all. That's not like Canada. Canada, if you on capital gains, it's something, it depends on how long you've had the capital gains. So if people have invested for a short period and then take out, you will be taxed at a higher rate in Canada. But if you hold off and you've had a long-term investment and take it out, it's lower, but it's not zero. So that was also mega appealing. But then I was like, I can't do this now. So I'm thinking what I'm gonna do is, why don't I just register the business in Canada? Let's see if we even sell anything. Let's see if my aspirations of Disney level success turns into more, if it's that or if it's like $50. But then if it's starting to, we're getting our users, we're doing well, we're expanding, it's a growing little business. I checked with GPT. I was like, is it legal at all that I could change from Canada and just actually migrate the business over to Singapore? And apparently you can. And ChatGPT says that this is done all the time, and it's called corporate inversion, or jurisdiction redomiciliation, and it's frequently done. I was like, okay, I like to know this stuff. because wow, was that beneficial. And the final footnote to all of this is that because of the nature of the business I'm making, it's a website. It's an infinitely renewable resource available from anywhere in the world that where my location is should just benefit the company, really. It has no, I have no close, I'm not near suppliers, manufacturers, anything like that. So my plan is that I'm going to register the company in Canada. God willing, we will get some sales there and it'll start to develop. And then as soon as we have traction in Canada, I'm going to do some jurisdiction redomiciliation, and I'm going to apply for that startup to move the company to Singapore, where I will have a 17% tax, where I will have no capital gains, and this amazing visa that they allow you to get with it. The minimum, it starts at 1 year, and you could, I mean, also if it's going well, I like dream big, right? Dream bigger, darling. You know, if you're doing well now, you were considered a resident so long as you lived there for 6 months of the year. So I could live in Singapore for 6 months of the year. And then in the other 6 months of the year, I could be visiting family, or, you know, I like also having a hub in Southeast Asia, because when you're in Southeast Asia, you're by all these places. When you're in North America, it's just North America, you know. So I like that you would have that distance. It's a lot of fun, and it just shows, just if you got an idea, don't keep it in your head. Share your ideas with the people you think that value what you have to say, and I guarantee it is a kind of magic in this world. You will get feedback, the feedback will be applicable, and it will shock you how you can't imagine your life without it afterwards. Everyone has something to contribute if you ask them. In my experience, I have asked limitless people in the course of my journey here to develop this thing, and unmistakably, every single person I asked was able to help. So if you need help, ask. And it's amazing the sort of assistance that you'll get. All right, don't do anything they tell you to do at the end of YouTube videos. Don't do that. Don't do that. I'll see you soon.